as Amy knows, my first workshop was also a very small group like this, and I think it was very similar. I knew each of the people that joined, and so it was very comfortable, a very comfortable introduction. So I'm going to kick us off here, a short introduction for anybody who doesn't know me when they watch this recording. I am Ivy Boyter at Full Throttle SEO, and I have been in digital marketing for 15 years. And I started Full Throttle SEO in 2025 because I didn't want to be the typical SEO agency. I want to be a hands-on, more partner collaborative type individual that acts as an extension of your marketing team. I wanted to try this marketing AMA, and I think we're going to eventually kind of get into like sales and marketing. I wanted to do this because I know that there was a lot of new and sometimes conflicting information in the marketing world, especially when we talk about search. I want to be, I will not tell you that I know everything, but I will tell you I can at least be an honest and transparent person about these things. And that's what I want to offer in these sessions, is that when you when you come with your questions, if I am looking at potentially doing some like highlight speakers and guests. Sam is going to be my first one upcoming. But I want you guys to have a transparent, honest resource in the space so that you can digest whatever information is out there, and we can help you digest that information. So I am actually just a couple of top things at mind, top stories right now. If you've ever seen Google's AI overviews, because we all have, the latest is that they are now, the show more button in Google AI overviews is taking you directly to AI mode. So what this means is there's going to be less clicks and traffic to your website. We've already seen a decline in website traffic because AI overviews and even AI tools are taking away some of the traffic because they're getting their answers in AI. So what we're going to be seeing, if the show more button with the additional queries around their original query takes you to this AI mode, what Google's trying to do is keep them on their platform. It's no different than what Facebook and Instagram and all them want to do. They want to keep you on their platform. So that is going to have some impact, but we can talk through that some more if we have more questions. It's not the end of the world. It just changes the things that you're going to be checking and tracking and monitoring. Next thing is Bing Webmaster Tools is currently testing an AI performance report where they're going to report on Copilot and their other partners. Right now, the plan is that they're just going to be showing impressions, but not clicks. So you'll get some insight into potentially what people are seeing your website from, but it's not going to show you whether or not you're getting clicks. There are ways to track some of these things in your GA4 platform. We can also talk about that a little bit. And then lastly, no surprise, ChatGPT ads are on the horizon. I think we could have all guessed that AI tools were going to eventually go the same route that everybody else does and want to make as much money off of their tools as possible. Last couple of notes here, just upcoming in February. I am booked now for 2 speeches. One will be local. And one will be an online marketing summit. I will be sending out emails about those as I get more information. I'm not planning on doing a Get Found, Get Customers workshop. I have a few things in addition to the 2 speeches that I need to prepare for. I have some things that I'm trying to work out, and I don't feel like the Get Found and Get Customers workshop is in alignment with the changes that I'll be making.
Mm.
I just have to hash out what that looks like. I will continue the No BS Marketing AMA every month. Hopefully this picks up and people enjoy it. So that is all the time I'm going to take. Now I'm going to open the floor for any questions and discussions that are top of your mind.
Well, where do we start?
Yeah.
Where are you pointing your customers to first now? When you start working with somebody, what's the first thing that you do, Ivy, when it comes to explaining the new horizon that is out there?
It's a good question. I actually simply just want to get prospects on phone calls and discover. I like to do a discovery session. What is your challenge? What is your goal? If we start talking budget, what is that budget? And then I try to help determine at what point in the marketing cycle, where are you in that cycle and where do you fit? So like for right now, what I'm working on is trying to open up a group coaching program, because I know my monthly services are expensive, and a lot of startups, bootstrapped business owners who are already working on their own websites to do like SEO, um, they can't they can't afford to hire someone like me on a monthly basis. So there's a gap there, right? So I'm looking at potentially doing this group coaching slash course where I fill that gap. I give them the training to get the foundations set up on their website. They need to be able to do the work on their websites themselves. But including some one-on-one coaching sessions with the training program so that we take the training from theoretical, what's the idea behind it, to how does that actually apply on your specific website. But if they're ready to go further than just super foundational, like let's make sure Google can even see your website, then I guide them further. But if they're not ready at all for anything, I find out, what are they missing? Do they need a partner of mine that better aligns? Like, for instance, I know Sam and I have talked extensively. Some businesses just aren't ready to scale because they don't have their sales and internal processes in place. So I need to point them to Sam.
Good.
Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. Yeah, it's changing so rapidly. Someone like yourself to help with, because I think most people are confused on what SEO is really about these days,
Mm-hmm.
and about whether or not they should change their content program or stick with it or not.
Yeah.
What are you advising on like blogs and content on the website?
It needs to be strategized. I typically like to say don't write blogs just to have content.
Mm.
It needs to have a specific purpose. It needs to help answer questions that your customers actually are asking. And it shouldn't just be like, what is SEO? Like, you do need to think further into the funnel. Okay, now that I know that I need SEO or AEO or GEO, getting further into the funnel, okay, how do I choose that particular service or provider? So think about the steps that your prospects are making. But definitely don't write content just to write it. There needs to be some kind of data behind it. suggesting that that's what people are looking for. The other more technical thing that I find is that when you do write a ton of content just to have it on there to be quote unquote consistent, you end up sometimes cannibalizing your own content. And so if you've written about a topic multiple times and Google sees them as essentially the same, it won't know which blog post to rank, so then it just won't rank any of them. So the more content that you have on a website that's not ranking, the more it can bring down your ranking potential overall. Amy, I saw you unmuted, so do you have something?
I did. So in the beginning, you had talked about like the Google, the AI. So it's, if I type in IT providers, it's going to give me more of an AI answer than direct me to, maybe I misunderstood.
Okay, so the AI overviews, is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so typically what we see with the AI overviews is they're more, you'll see them more often for informational type queries.
Okay.
So like in your case, you do HR consulting. So I don't know, maybe they'll type what HR consulting services do I need? You know, maybe they just don't even know what they're looking for. Something like that, like a much more informational query. That's when things are going to show up in AI overviews.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Like, I don't know anything about technology. That's why I'm like, what?
Yeah. Now, I will say that, you know, if they're looking for, and you can even test it on your own Google search, but if they're looking for the best HR consulting providers in Jacksonville, right? Because that's where an AI overview may come up.
Okay.
I do want to go deeper on this though, because I think it's notable. So we say that it's a lot of informational, and I said that this is going to drive fewer clicks and traffic to your website. And that's been the case ever since AI overviews has come out and been more reliable. It still has a tendency to sometimes hallucinate, not as much as it used to. So what I have seen is that in general, yes, most brands who were ranking and driving traffic before, they are seeing traffic drops on their website, and it freaks them out. But when you look at the data even further, yes, your traffic dropped, but roughly your conversion, whether that's capturing leads or if they're in a space that they are tracking revenue, the conversion rates are generally the same, sometimes better. And it's really, AI is absorbing more of the traffic, but I think that as they get through, as long as your brand or business is mentioned in these searches, they're coming pre-warmed to you being the answer for the product or service that they need. But the key is getting mentioned in there. Something else that came across today actually was that it looks like Google is trying to work out, because there are some websites that don't want to be mentioned in AI overviews. And so Google is actually looking at ways to allow you to opt out, which I think is pretty short-sighted, because yes, you may get less traffic, but it's still a brand awareness thing, as much as we don't like it. If your brand is cited in those AI overviews, I still think it's just as important, even if you're not getting traffic from it.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
Technically, what is the number one thing a small business needs to do if they're trying to manage it themselves? And what's the best thing that a small business should do for SEO, AEO, EEO, whatever O?
All the O's. As much as I don't want to say that AEO and GEO are any different than SEO, what I am finding is that like AEO and GEO, so these are all of the AI tools that people are searching in. Brand recognition is going to be key. So I do want to take this as just a slight step back and not really just talk about small businesses, but especially startups and local businesses. What I often see is that newer businesses completely miss the local factor. Putting local keywords in their websites. There is no way a newer, smaller, relatively unknown business, there's no way they can compete on a national level, even if they say that they can serve clients nationally. If you are, let's just say you're a heart doctor, right? There is no way a brand new, unknown heart doctor here in Jacksonville is going to rank his website for any heart disease related content, because he's competing with things like Mayo Clinic and those really highly authoritative, well-known sites. So localizing specifically for people who are in your area first. The heart doctor may not have been the best example, but that was the only way I could get across like the magnitude of, what this person is up against. So not just including local keywords in your website, but also having things like schema. It's back-end code for both Google and AI tools like ChatGPT to understand elements of your website. Things like organization or local business schema that includes your business address if you're willing to give that out, contact information, like the email, the phone number, those kinds of things, and connecting your Google business profile.
Is the schema different for AEO versus SEO?
Nope. They both utilize them. There's questions right now about whether or not schema is necessary, but Bing a few months ago came out specifically and said they do utilize schema to train ChatGPT and Copilot. So
what about the structure of your site? Like your page, sorry, I have a visitor. The structure of your page, does the AEO, is the AI engines want something different than what the traditional page would look like that Google would find?
now, are we talking about a page itself?
Yes. Like if you had a piece of content that described your service or described.
Okay, yeah. So not necessarily. Now there's different schemas for different pages. So like there is service schema, but the page itself visually, generally, no. I mean, you need it to be complete. You want to give your this is really more like user friendly. being user friendly. You want to give your visitors a complete picture of what that service is, what it might entail to work with you. You do want some trust building. So if you can provide reviews, specific reviews that people have left you about that service, because of the trust building aspect that both people and Google like to see.
Mm.
And then AI uses things like reviews to also determine whether or not they're going to mention you in AI searches.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately having as much information that's relevant to that service or product or even your homepage, just, and then having internal links that relate specific things. So if your service page talks at all about your company, you either link back to your about page or the home page. Your home page should have internal links to your service pages and your about page. That way there's always structural relevance.
Okay. I've heard mixed signals about some people that are suggesting, or some experts are suggesting a quick blurb at the top of your page that kind of spells out really quickly something for the AEO, the AI engines, versus the traditional way that you would build a page for SEO.
I mean, fundamentally, it's not so much different than what we would say for SEO in general. And it's really, is there something catchy that both tells SEO what the page is about, but also captures your audience's attention?
Okay.
So, for example, when I work on e-commerce websites, some e-commerce websites have zero content on, and all they have are products. Now, if you know the e-commerce business that you're going to, you probably already know what you're looking at and what you're looking for. But Google doesn't necessarily know. Google reads text. So typically I tell, especially newer e-commerce businesses, because that's all they want to do is just display their products. Well, Google doesn't understand that page. Google doesn't understand, I mean, it's getting better, but it doesn't understand the pictures and how they might relate to other categories. So I always tell my customers, add a small blurb at the top to give some kind of idea of what the category is about. And then at the bottom, and sometimes we can just do it all at the bottom, below the products, add a bunch of text about the products and, you know, your return policies or your warranties, or, you know, just in general about your website, you know, who you are, why they might want to buy. And it's probably less for humans because I don't know how many people will scroll that far. But the more information you give to Google and now these AI tools, the better. So typically, as if you can do something at the top above the scroll, not a lot, it just a little bit, it does satisfy SEO even.
What's a waste of time now? Whether you know that most small businesses make, what are they wasting their time on? They shouldn't.
Asking if somebody wants to, if somebody will do AEO and GEO instead of calling it SEO. I will tell you, they are fundamentally the same. I will do all of the same stuff for AEO and GEO as I have been doing, evolving with SEO in the last 15 years. But no, wasting time. I can tell you you waste time by telling the customer that you are the best at, you know, you name it. But if your company doesn't follow through with the being the best at whatever it is they've named, huge waste of time.
Dig into that a little bit deeper. What do you mean?
We go into a trust thing. You don't want to make claims that are untrue. So if your sales and marketing team, if they work together, are claiming that you're the best at whatever, but your boots on the ground who are running the business, and for some of us this it doesn't make sense. Like, we are our own everything, sales, marketing, and follow through. But if the people delivering said product or service are not the best, we are false advertising. I mean, so I think wasting time not knowing where your strengths actually are is probably a big one. Honestly, wasting time on marketing if you don't even understand the business and can't clarify your value, the benefits that you offer to, and I don't just mean like, and I sometimes struggle with this myself, but I don't just mean like the things they get out of a product or service, because they're going to get most likely those same things out of a product or service that they would get at the next supplier, the next partner. You need to know the ins and outs, like understand, Sam, you know this, the workflow. So marketing something when you don't yourself understand that flow.
So you can bring them everybody that they need via SEO or through the marketing activities of digital. But if what you're saying is if they don't have the processes in place to handle that and or deliver on it, then that's
yeah. I actually have just been talking to a few people, and I've landed on the statement: SEO can bring people to the door. It can't sell for you. So your salespeople need to be good. The people doing the delivery, they need to follow through on what's on sales, what sales is saying that they're going to do. But I think, you know, coming from a corporate world, I've seen failures in that consistently. The top says one thing, but boots on the ground are like, but it doesn't work that way. What else would I say is a waste? I have a hard, I don't want to say that really anything that you do is a waste, as long as you, even if something doesn't work right or it fails, or, you know, however you want to frame it, as long as you're taking it as a learning opportunity. What can you learn from it? I honestly don't think anything is a waste. It's just what you do with the data. I mean, because I could say I spent that week and a half in prospecting, and I got one call out of like 80 prospects that I went through. I could have easily called that a waste, but I got a lot of information from it and I learned a lot from it. So
I don't want to hog all the questions, Amy. Do you have any questions that you or
Ivy is so like clear in her definitions and everything. And we've spoken a few times. I'm like, I'm just sitting here shaking my head. Like, yes, that makes sense. And but the SEO, like, people hear oh, SEO, and you and I talked about it, they email you, we can get you ranking #1. No, you can't. But it's true, like you can get people to visit my site or call the phone number, but if I am not providing what I say I am, or how I say I can, or whatever, that's not a failure of SEO. That's a failure of the business owner, the sales team, whoever it is.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes that needs to be screamed louder than you need more SEO. Like we need SEO, we need more SEO, but you also have to make sure you're prepared for when that comes to your doorstep. Because if people call me and I'm a rambling fool and can't answer their questions, I just wasted my money and my energy on having a good SEO platform. And I think that's something you could even help users understand more. Like, what is the old adage? You can take a horse to water, you can't force them to drink. It's the same thing. You can bring folks to our doorstep all day long with their wallets open. But if we can't close that deal or speak in a manner that makes sense and we're trustworthy and we follow through, then the best SEO in the world won't help our business grow. It's got to be sort of that integral piece put together.
Agree.
So no question, Sam, just dire track.
Trying to think of anything else that may be useful that I've come across. Have either of you heard of query fan outs?
Say that again.
Query fan outs.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back to the AI overviews. And this circles back to the creating content. So not only right now are we in a phase where this actually brings up something else. Not only are we in a phase where people think they need AEO and GEO because it's the sexy new acronyms. But because of it, and people are searching in wildly different ways in AEO than they did in traditional search. You've got we're now in a position where we can't reliably track keywords being used in AI like we could for SEO. Because we've got long-winded, I don't know if you guys ever actually talk to ChatGPT. I actually speak to mine. My daughter listened to me talking to ChatGPT one day, and when I got finished, she's like, that was so long-winded. That was so unnecessary. And I was like, no, it wasn't. I needed ChatGPT to know exactly what I was trying to go after. And the more information I give it, the better the result is going to be for the output. And thinking about that, even if we're not as long-winded as I can be with ChatGPT, we are being much more conversational and asking very different questions and very long questions, or making long statements. So we cannot track reliably keywords anymore. Themes maybe, but not keywords. So query fan outs are AI overview's way of saying, okay, I typed in, hey, what are the best HR consultants near me? And let's say Amy pops up, but then it's got like it'll have some additional questions that you can click on. Again, it goes now to AI mode. But the thought process right now with a lot of people is they see these query fan outs, these additional questions, and they think, oh, I need to write a blog post on that one. Remember, we were just talking about don't write content just to write content. And yes, this may be showing that might be the next logical question, but we do have to ask ourselves, does it make sense as a whole new blog post? Or is it I can just write a blurb with that question within an existing blog post. I mean, because if you're not writing 1,000 or 2,000 words about this question that comes up in AI search, is it really worth the time to write a whole new blog post? Probably not. Is it better to have that follow-up question within the content that already addresses the overarching subject? Now, if you find that you can go into a really long-winded 1, 2, 3,000 word article, absolutely write a brand new article. As long as it's got meat.
Interesting. Seems to me like the term hub page and the pillar pages, and people call it different things, but the having a core page and then having additional backup or supporting pages like FAQs and comparison or use cases, or even some buyer question content that all relate to each other would help with something like that.
There's still benefit to that, again, as long as each of those sub pages for your pillar content, as long as they've got some meat to it, there's some real value.
Right.
These days, I don't know that I would necessarily add a whole FAQ page for that pillar content. I would have specific FAQs for the specific blog article that you're writing. Just like I say for your service pages, if you haven't covered things fully and there's just a couple little things about that service that could just be answered in a question and answer format, just do the FAQs right on that service page right there. I think I have an FAQ page on my website overall, but they're kind of generic. They're not about a specific service. So I still think there's strategy that needs to be involved. That is one thing that I will say. I'm seeing a lot of people, because they think that that's what they have to do to get found in AI and mentioned in AI, is just writing a shit ton of content. So I guess that goes back to where do I see some waste? There's some waste.
So you need to figure out how to structure the content without creating a bunch of keyword bloat.
Yeah, or just in general, URL bloat. I mean, I can't even get into the topic of crawl budget, which I know is really technical, but each website and Google's, you're never going to know what your specific crawl budget is, but Google has a crawl budget that it gives to each website. They won't tell you how much that is, but that really means if your website is small and not very authoritative, Google's really not in love with your website, they may not crawl as many pages. So if you have 1,000 pages on your website, it may not get to them all. So you may just be wasting time altogether.
Interesting.
Even thinking about that, I'm thinking about I had a national motorsports parts brand that I was working with. Highly authoritative. They've been around for a really long time. It was an e-commerce site, but even them, I was worried about their crawl budget and saying, hey, we need to restructure your site and tighten things up because you don't want to run out of that.
So how do you diagnose that crawl budget? Is there a way of doing that?
So again, we don't know what each site's crawl budget is because Google is not transparent with that. Generally, in like a technical audit, when I have access to the website's back-end data, I can I use a platform called Ahrefs. Okay, Amy, that's fine. Thank you for showing up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, you too. So I use a platform called Ahrefs, Ahrefs, REFS, and it does like a site audit, and I can see the number of URLs that's being crawled. And I can see things like pages that are published but not linked anywhere on the website, which is a huge no-no. And then essentially, if you've got thousands of pages that are crawled, but they're not indexed or they're not ranking, it kind of gives you an idea that, well, maybe there's bloat and we need to reduce.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Or duplicates that need to be reduced.
There's more to come, more changes coming, I'm sure.
I fully believe that there are. I think that, SEO has been evolving for the entire 15 years that I've been doing it. And it's just evolving at a more rapid pace. So, yeah, I fully anticipate that lots of things will be changing.
What's next? What's next on the horizon?
Philosophical answer, we have to learn to be more human and rely less on AI. I think there's a lot of distrust in the marketing because of all of the AI. I honestly think human relationships are going to become much more important for building and establishing trust.
What do you think about website builders like Wix and other platforms like that when it comes to their ability for SEO/AEO? Do you think that they're as robust as a WordPress site or other types of sites? Or do you think they're
Not necessarily, but truth be told, no platform is perfect. Each has their pros and cons. There are some that I think GoDaddy and Wix are fairly limited, but at the same time, if budget prevents you from doing something more robust, is it better to just get a website started because it fits your budget rather than waiting to find money to get something more robust and easier to work with for SEO purposes?
Interesting. If you're a new entrepreneur, you're out thinking about building a website and you stumble onto this conversation, what would you recommend the first things that somebody do when it comes to building their website and building it and layering on? What are the things that are most important for a new site?
That is a great question. I actually just built, I think it's up to 16 pages now, of very foundational things to look for to make sure that Google and now AI can find you. And I'd be happy to share that document. It's basically a self-assessment. So if you've already built your website, you need it. If you're considering building your website, you need it. Establishing your Google properties. So GA4, Google Search Console, Google Business Profile, it makes sense for most businesses, Google Business Profile. But getting the GA4 and Google Search Console connected to the website. So it can't, like, it doesn't collect data if it's not connected to the website. So that has to get connected. The schema that we talked about, and having your business mentioned both in online directories. So, our local Jack's Chamber or whatever local chamber you're part of, Better Business Bureau. You don't even have to pay for most of these, as much as most of these platforms want you to pay for something. You don't have to pay for them. It's just about getting your business listed. And then taking it a step further and trying to get consistent, relevant backlinks from other sources. So having your brand or business mentioned in other online sources, like, for instance, I go on podcasts where I get links back to my website. I've been on Buzz TV a couple of times to get that backlink. It just helps to establish that you are a legitimate business and that you're trustworthy and authoritative because people want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch. I'd be happy to share that document with you and for anybody else who's interested.
There's a lot to do to build up a new site and get it and keep it going and everything.
There definitely is, and everybody will have you think that AI searches means more, but not necessarily. Connecting your social profiles too. Even if you aren't like super active on them, just establishing your website on your social media platforms can be helpful too.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? We've got 6 whole minutes.
I think I'm questioned out, Ivy. I think it's been really helpful.
I
Thank
have
you.
loved all the questions. Thank you so much.
Yes. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, I will be sending out those invitations the closer we get there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This was fun.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much. If you think of anything else, obviously throw them my way. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks. Bye.